Hi there everyone, and welcome to Fingers, Fums and Fits. In today's episode of TTPITL, I will be painting this new Antioch Trench Cleric by Papsikels. Can I keep the paint inside the lines? Let's find out. I started with a base of Chaos Black spray. Before dry brushing a heavy zenithal highlight of Corax White. I then added some contrast with an all-over wash of Nuln Oil. Before a slightly lighter dry brushing of Grey Sear, to accentuate the edges. Now, let's slap on some color. Starting with Flesh Terror's red on the armor. And Wildwood on his crucifix. This needed 2 coats to achieve the shade I was looking for. Next, I painted the leather details with snakebite leather. This included the pouches on his belt, his gloves, and anywhere his undershirt was showing. I then painted any parchment adornments with Ricarth flesh, before applying a wash of Reikland flesh shade to his lower half, as well as the pages of his book. And then decided it was time to sort his face out. So, I painted his skin firstly with Cadian flesh tone, then washed it with Reikland flesh shade, as I already had it out on the table. But, as my Kislev flesh had dried up, I used a 1-to-1 mix of Cadian flesh tone and Corax White for the highlights. And added a bit of Black Templar on his beard, followed by a highlight of Dawnstone. It was at this stage I decided I didn't like his skirting, so I repainted it with Zandri Dust, and gave it a few coats of Reikland flesh shade. And yeah, I know, this kinda defeats the purpose of the initial highlighting, but oh well. I then painted the ropes on his belt and crucifix with Skeleton Horde. Before it was time to paint the metallics. I used Retributor armor on his sword hilt, and the icons on his armor, and lead Belcher for his sword blade, chains, gun, book trim, and crucifix nails. I then gave the whole model a wash of Agrax Earthshade, to bring out that grimy look. All that's left now is a bit of highlighting. Starting with Stormhost Silver for the metallic areas. Mephiston Red for an edge highlight on the armor. Ricarth Flesh for the paper and leather details. And finally, Mournfang Brown as an edge highlight for his crucifix. Then, all that was left was to base the model, and we can call this one done. Now, I actually really enjoyed painting this model. It was my first time even attempting a zenithal highlight, and I think it went rather well. So it's a technique I will definitely employ in the future. And so, overall, I'm really happy with how this one came out. But the all-important question is, what do you guys think? Did I manage to keep the paint inside the lines? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again for the next one. Have a great day everyone, and I'll see you later.